Hi, I'm Allie. Today we're going to talk about the Tubelet Bead. The Tubelet Bead was designed in 2019 by us here at PotomacBeads as a great alternative to a bugle bead. The Tubelet Bead is a check glass bead that is produced in a multitude of different colors, and I want to show you some designs that have been used in the tubelet variety, and that will give you ideas for how you can take this wonderful check bead and build it into your own unique designs. The Tubelet Bead. The Tubelet Bead is a check glass bead, which means that it is pressed through a machine and it has a nice rounded edge to it and a tubular shape. It is cylindrical, much like a bugle bead, and as we discussed, the bugle bead, which is often 2 to 6 to sometimes even 12 millimeter, is a thinner bead in that cylinder shape. The problem with the bugle bead often is that because of the way that it's manufactured, the edges are very uneven and very sharp. In many designs, it will cut the thread as you are working with it, which will make the design come apart. In order to solve that issue, we came up with the Tubelet bead. The Tubelet bead is about the thickness of the twisted bugle here, which is 2.7. The tubelet is 2.8 when looking at it from the side. It is 6 by 8 millimeters. So you've got about 6 millimeters in that length there when you're looking at it. And your hole size is about 0.8 millimeter for looking at the interior of the hole. The tubelet bead itself is great to use as a spacer, as a building block, and even as an element for just a simple ladder stitch design. We've used the tubelet over the last 3 years in a multitude of different ways, from basic stringing, including it, as a spacer between gemstones, in a Morse code bracelet used with memory wire, in lots of earring designs, and even to create some bezels. I'm going to show you some different designs using the tubelet bead, which is available in 30 plus awesome check colors, and you can check out our website for that. Look below the video in the description and it'll link to our inspiration page for our tubelet beads. There we have over 40 tubelet videos that you can check out, you can watch, and you can create in your own color line. So the tubelets work really well just as a basic stringing bead. You can use them in between designs. They almost look like a liquid silver bead, and you can use them to look like a simple frame, even if you're framing out a bead that has a hole. The illusion that you can get with the tubelet bead, like this luminous necklace, is really great because it forms its own look of a nice soldered piece of jewelry. You can also use them to form individual pieces. This Pandora's box bracelet here creates its area for us to plop in a chaton. You can also do this with rivolis, and those stacked upon tubelet beads will stay in place. Just like the Pandora's box bracelet, you can also stack tubelets layered one on top of each other into a diamond shape. Because they are exact in length, you won't have that unevenness like you will with some cylinder beads. Take the Rio earrings, for example, here. You can see the tubelets line up really nicely end to end in that 6 millimeter length as you're looking and seeing them across the top. They also work really nicely to keep spacing between different beads, like the Eva beads in these lovely lilac earrings. You can amp it up a little bit too if you want, and just use them in basic stitches. So here in this Babbling Brook, you can see that they are used as an accent in a peyote stitch bracelet. Little freeform style, but patterned. Same with using them here in the octagram necklace as a bezel. It creates a nice structure and gives a nice edge when putting them together. Or you can get creative and use your tubelets to physically build a box, like we have here in Anna's pearl box pendant. You can actually use it if you want to as a nice piece on a long chain, and use the tubelet beads side by side to create that nice ladder stitch effect that you can build upon building boxes, bracelets, or even just basic stringing ideas. It's really fun to see after a couple years of the tubelets being used, how the design goes from the concept of needing to solve a problem or having an issue and working with our team in the Czech Republic to make sure that the bead becomes exactly right and like we want it to happen. When the bead gets produced, we do lots of trial runs for different sizes, different shapes, different molds, and we end up with what we desire to be a bead that is very versatile. This tubelet bead here, I think, knocks it out of the park when it comes to a tubular cylinder shaped bead that is not going to crack and not going to break because it's not as thin as a bugle bead. It doesn't have that sharp edge because the bead is tumbled itself, and the ways that it is produced allow for the wall of the bead itself to be a little bit thicker. So you don't have that thread edge rubbing against a little tiny piece of glass. Because it is a little bit thicker also, you don't have to be as worried with it breaking or shattering like you do with some bugle beads. I can't wait to see how the tubelet bead progresses even more in people's designs and ideas. Make sure when you are using your tubelet beads, if you're thinking about designs, laying them out, or creating new patterns with them, please share your designs in our Facebook group for beading and jewelry making. We would love to see them, and even with your permission, feature them on our site. As always with the tubelet bead, this is just one in the building block of the many Potomac bead styles, whether or not they're Czech glass or metal or crystal, that we work hard to bring to you and to increase the creativity and the imagination of the beading community and our beading group. I hope you get your opportunity to work with the tubelet beads, see what all the hype is about, and to see how they can increase your creativity while adding structure and stability to your designs. Remember, we have over 40 tutorials using the tubelet beads, so go ahead and click below in the description. That little show more button, if you're on YouTube, will bring you a link to our website where you can get all of that information. As always, thank you so much for joining me, and stay tuned for more inspirational designs using tubelet beads and many others here from PotomacBeads.